Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are now back with Dr. Lara May here to talk in regards to so much. She's very intuitive. She's got a lot in tap for us today, a lot in store. Dr. Lara, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners? Thank you.
Yes, hello. I'm so happy to be back. My name is Dr. Lara May. I am a functional medicine health coach and clinical pharmacist specialist, and also energy medicine practitioner. And within my practice, I combine all of those modalities to give my clients the most deep and life-altering experience possible, but in the best way possible, so that people can heal on multiple levels and find that perfect balance in their life. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today some is that balance.
Yeah. And by the way, tell us your website. How do we get in touch with you?
Oh, yes. drlaramay.com is my website, and you can find all of my services there. My podcast lives there, and my blog also. And then on all social media, I'm also Dr. Lara May. That's DRLARAMAY.
Perfect. And I know you want to kind of focus today to start with about how you are not broken. A lot of us feel, especially this time of year, it could be a happy time, it could be a sad time, but for most of us, it does get depressing around the holidays. So would you mind sharing that concept and your thought process about that?
Absolutely. So the last time we talked about the difference between healing and a cure. And I think even within when we approach the concept of healing, sometimes that also comes with this assumption or impression that we're broken or in some way, or that we need to be fixed. And really, from my perspective, and this is what I like to bring to my clients as well, is that none of us are broken. None of us need to be fixed. We're all on a journey of coming back to our whole selves and coming back to our most ideal balance. So our body is, full of cells and molecules and chemical reactions like we talked about last time too, but really it's always moving towards a state of balance. And so if there's something out of balance, naturally our body wants to rebalance it. And so I like to bring this concept into my practice and my sessions with my clients because I feel like it takes some of the pressure off. I feel like it takes some of the judgment off that we put on ourselves, or that we've allowed to sort of, invade our energy and mind, is that, oh, I'm not broken. There might be some things I'd like to shift and change and evolve, but nothing necessarily needs to be, quote, fixed. Everything will resolve in its own time if I just allow it. And I think that's something that we really forget, is that our body wants to be in a state. In science, in healthcare, we call it homeostasis. And by our lifestyle, by what we eat, by how little or how much we sleep, sometimes those things get out of balance. But there are lots of things that we can do to help bring that balance back to ourselves.
Great. And give us an example. How do you start the process of committing to this? And because, it takes a lot, and now it's like New Year's, and I think New Year's resolutions, and we all want to be better, and there's just so much going on in the world. And what is the first initial step? What would you do for your clients to get them on that right path, in a sense?
So with anything, in order to really commit or to create change, you have to decide, you have to make the choice. And so really, it's about loving ourselves enough to say, I care more about feeling good than anything else, and I'm going to do what's best for me to feel good. And what that does is that helps you show up as a light in the world, and then you attract more light. You show up differently. You're more gentle and kind and patient. And so the first thing is choice. And once you make that choice, then it's energetically, so many things open up for you. And it really opens the path for not only your physical mind's eye, but your third eye too, to receive guidance from your angels, your guides, your ancestors, your team, as I like to call them.
So, and can I just interrupt? I know we have a little
Yeah,
agenda for what we're talking about, but for new listeners today, each and every show, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself, what brought you into this field and how long you've been intuitive for, just so people can get to know you? And I think it's great. We'll continue with the health and wellness of everything, but just
sure.
about you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a clinical pharmacist, and I've been a pharmacist since 2009, and I brought functional medicine and intuitive practices into my world and into my practice back in 2014-15. And this was after myself struggling with a wide variety of health issues, mainly chronic migraines that were getting worse and becoming more and more debilitating. I had a diagnosis of IBS since the age of 23, and
Me
that was
too.
also getting worse and worse and just not getting better. And so I was going to doctors within, the health system that I work in, and they were good people with good intentions, but they just weren't helping, and they really didn't know. They were doing the best they could with the tools they had. And that's sort of when I also realized that, okay, Western medicine can only take us so far.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
I wanted to know more. And once I learned more for myself, I wanted to bring that knowledge and those tools to as many people as possible. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay. I need you. I've been diagnosed with IBS since I was a little kid. Everything I eat, drink, whatever, my stomach bloats, it's full of gas. I look like I'm pregnant. I went to the best doctors at Temple University for a week of studies in 2010. They said, "We don't know what's wrong with you. It's not your transit time. It's not you're allergic to anything. It's not." And I suffer every day of my life. I'm 43 and I can't figure it out. And the latest thing, I'm thinking about trying CBD oil. I don't know what to do. They gave me Xifaxan or
Mm,
rifaximin. That takes the bacteria out of my food and makes me go to the bathroom, makes me more gassy, but I feel better being less bloated. But is there something that you use for IBS that maybe you could just like cure me right now? what, what, what,
so so everyone's GI tract is different because
different.
of
Okay.
their lifestyle and what they
Yeah.
eat. So where you live, what you eat, how you live, that all affects it. However, so with me, and this is where I start a lot with my clients, is number one is food. What are we putting into our body? And if maybe you've been struggling with this for a while, so maybe you've already done the
I've done the
elimination.
elimination
You
diets.
did.
Yes. I've done the
Okay.
nutrition. Yeah.
And did you discover anything by going through that? Like, oh, I am sensitive to dairy or gluten, or oh, I'm not, and
No,
that doesn't
no,
bother
even
me.
the blood work says that I'm not, but no, it's
Okay.
anything. And it could be a day that I decide not to eat because I can't eat. If I have an event to go to and I have to go to a wedding, I have to wear a dress.
Mhm.
I will be so bloated and uncomfortable. And it's not even about looking pregnant, it's about being in pain more than my looks.
Right.
But I can't, if I'm going somewhere, I can't eat for like a day because then the stomach, but then there's days I don't eat and then I still get the bloated pain. So it's
Yes.
triggered by, I don't know what. It's not just foods or liquids. It could be a day I'm not eating. And all of a sudden the pain comes. It's like there's something living in me. That's what
Yes.
I feel like.
Well, there are lots of things living in you, and it's and it's your microbiome. And so once we've either figured out what the food triggers are or eliminated that they're not the problem, then the next step is to look at what's going on inside. So then there comes this concept of the microbiome. And this is the natural balance. There are more bacteria living in us naturally than actually outside in the outside world.
Wow.
And it's just a matter of them being in balance. And so the thing that I would actually encourage you to investigate is something called SIBO. Have you heard of that? Small
SIBO.
intestinal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
SIBO.
SIBO. Yep.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
small
Yep.
intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And so to really treat this, there's a whole protocol that you go through,
Wow.
and you stay on it for at least 30 days and sometimes 3 to 6 months, because it depends on how long it takes your body to
Yeah.
readjust
Well,
and
I thought that's what the
rebalance.
Xifaxan was supposed to do.
That's only one aspect.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what my doctor said, and it didn't work. I've done
Yes.
it for years on and off. So, but
And
okay.
I'll be quite
Interesting.
honest, I went through my own SIBO protocol and I didn't take Xifaxan.
Okay.
And I healed from it. And now
Okay.
granted, like I still have flares because there's, it's life. You go to a restaurant, you don't know what they put in their food, and all of a sudden
Mm-hmm.
you're bloated, crampy, miserable. You're like, why? I thought I made the best
Oh,
choice for myself.
yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
I totally understand and feel you.
All right.
Um,
Well, Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. Let's
Yeah.
continue. We got healthy and well as our natural state and how we can come back to that natural state balance through using nutrition, movement, meditation, mindfulness. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
Yes. So I love that you brought this up. And so we can keep it in this context of gut health, IBS,
Yeah.
SIBO, all of those things, because so, when you're going through a healing protocol, and it could even be migraines, you want to make sure you're feeding your body with as much alkaline and healthy, soothing foods as possible. And so usually we are experiencing these pains, bloating, whatever it is, because we're inflamed in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form.
Yeah.
And so we want to dampen down that inflammation. The one way we do that is food and beverage. The next way we do that is movement. And I can also say I was a collegiate athlete. I grew up being a competitive swimmer.
Wow.
I, am one of these people that loves to exercise. However, I had to come to a realization that HIIT training was not doing me any favors when I was, doing HIIT training multiple days a week, lifting weights, but I was exhausted. And so I was actually contributing inflammation to my body because I wasn't doing the right kind of exercise. And so it's important that we tune in and we ask ourselves, are you a marathon runner? Are you overtraining? Or are you someone that's super sedentary and not moving enough? And so if you're a super sedentary person, you don't have to go out and run a marathon. Just walk more, take the stairs more. I have at my desk in the hospital a little elliptical that goes underneath the desk. So even if I'm sitting, that I can still be moving my legs.
Wow.
And that helps a lot because it just keeps the blood moving.
Awesome. Good to
So,
know.
and of course, I'm a huge fan of yoga.
Uh-huh.
and there's various styles of yoga. There's, yin yoga, which is super relaxing, restorative, stretching. And then there's vinyasa flow or Bikram hot yoga. And those can be more like cardiovascular, more intense types of yoga too. So you can incorporate both, so you don't even have to do like what we consider the classical cardio, whether you're on a spinning bike or outside running. It can be all yoga if you want it to be, but just make sure that it's gentle. And if you need it to get that heart rate up, a nice balance of both.
Got it. And also today, I know you want to talk about being willing to experience every opportunity, you say, to come back to wholeness.
Yes. Yeah. So even let's say we are a person that is in this cycle of our IBS being inflamed, or like you're on a good stretch and you're feeling good for a while, and then all of a sudden, like myself, a couple weeks ago, I went out to eat sushi, and before I was even done with the meal, the throat was scratchy, the phlegm was coming into my face, my sinus, and then on the way home I started with the abdominal cramps and all of that pain and bloating, and I was so confused. I said, I don't know, whatever they put in this, and so again, to me, that's an opportunity to learn and make make a different choice the next time around. So
good.
It's important that we don't beat up on ourselves,
which is
and I
hard.
know, it's easy. It's what we're trained to do. And then we get frustrated, and that's our first go-to is like, oh, what did I do wrong? Why did this happen to me again? All of these questions and things that we say to ourselves. And so it's just really important that when things come up, maybe you're in a cycle at your place of work and you feel like you're, treated unfairly or something like that. It's okay. Well, how am I showing up? How am I responding?
Yep.
And what can I do differently? Maybe it's a totally different choice. Maybe it's a different direction you need to take. So yeah, it's just about getting curious. And instead of going to that beat up and judgment place, it's about the curiosity place. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Ooh, I'm liking this. All right. So we have to talk about this. We talk about self-love, right? Health and wellness is a reflection of self-love. A lot of us, though, don't even believe in self-love or self-care practices to get there. It's always about the family, everyone else, and the importance of loving thyself. Could you explain a little bit about that? Which I think also relates to self-care, which people kind to, they say put that oxygen mask on your, you first, and then help everyone on the
Yes.
plane. But as a
Yeah.
mom, I'm like, oh no, you gotta do the kids first. And then look what happens. And then it's like you lose yourself. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, especially as parents, I feel like it is hard because we love our kids so much. We want to be there for them. We want them to have the best life
Yeah.
possible. But then we find ourselves where
Uh
we're short, we're impatient, we're
huh.
exhausted, and sometimes we're just like, ah, I
My
just
God.
there are no more directions I can be pulled in because they're all going this way, out, 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 out. And so it's important that we really, the most loving thing that we can do for our others is to show up for ourselves and know when to say no kindly with love, and just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Because, there's number one, there's not enough time in the day. Even if you
True.
try to make it, try to make it so, there's not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what comes first? Your wellness comes first. So did you make time to move today? Did you make time to meditate today? And even we can talk about this more too, that there's various types of meditation. And so you can sit in stillness
Yeah.
if you want, if that's your thing. I love sitting in stillness, and we did this exercise last time where we place our hands on the heart and we
Mhm.
do the breathing.
Hi, honey. You talking?
Yes.
I love it.
And
He just appears, or she appears from under the
yes.
blanket. She,
She,
I saw something moving. I'm like, I know
what
she's
is that?
intuitive. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, hi.
Yes. Or, it could be a walking meditation.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things too, is just to get out into nature. And even if you live in a city, go to your closest park, maybe pop your headphones in to some nice music or a guided meditation, and just allow yourself to separate from all
From
of the thoughts and worries and all the craziness that's going on in our heads,
all the fog. Yeah.
because this will change your energetic state.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come back to your family or to your job or whatever it is, when you feel different, you show up different. and
Mm-hmm.
and people will notice it, and they will respond to you differently as well. And so I think there's this aspect too that we don't realize, is that when we are in, like, let's say, a cycle with a family member or a job, and we sort of expect it to already go a certain way, then that person is also feeling our energy and responding to how our expectation of it may be already going to be tense or uncomfortable or confrontational. And so it's a self-perpetuating, cycle.
Yeah.
But if we show up differently, and even if they trigger us in some way, if we respond differently, then that changes everything.
Yeah.
And so all of this to me is about self-love.
Aw.
And because it's about making the choice of, I love myself enough that I want to see a change, and I'm going to make different choices to see what works. And that's the other thing, is being willing to just keep saying, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, I'm going to try something else. And just finally finding that process, that
Mm-hmm.
routine, that practice, whatever it is, that finally, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then once you find that, you can do it over and over and
Over and
over,
over
and
again.
you perfect it, you grow it, you put love into it, appreciation, gratitude. And then, wow, your entire energetic being and your physical being changes, because, like we before, it's all connected. So when you're thinking differently, when you're feeling differently, the cells inside your body are communicating with themselves differently. And you will look younger, you'll feel younger, you will feel healthier, all because I will tell you, a lot energetically, a lot of this IBS and this third chakra stuff that happens here is stress.
Stress.
It's self-judgment, it's stress, it's worry. And we think about that up here, but our
But
gut is so interconnected with our brain.
well, with what you do as an intuitive, I mean, do you also believe in that it could be trauma from like past lives that are stuck
Yes.
in me or you,
Yeah.
or like, I mean,
Yes. Yes. And so again,
my
and
mom had this problem. My mom, unfortunately, is passed now 4.5 years, but my mom had this problem too. And I didn't know, like, when I realized I didn't eat dinner, I couldn't eat breakfast, but my mom never noticed. And then as I'm a teenager and I'm always in pain, everyone's going to eat and I can't eat. I look back at pictures, I was a little girl and I see like a distended belly in all my pictures. I said, Mom, you never noticed I had like, I didn't know that was not normal to feel that way, and I wouldn't eat and I didn't. My mom's like, she has the same problem her whole life too. And I'm like, oh. And then I start going to doctors and they did nothing. I mean, I tried
Right.
all the testing and
Yes.
elimination, but it's like,
Yeah.
so now I'm thinking my mom had it, I had it. I know we're stressful people and there's been trauma, but what could have happened in the past? How do you fix those types of things?
So this is where I recommend that you find a practitioner to work with that
Mm-hmm.
can lead you through these practices and meditations and energy clearings, because
Yeah.
really there is such a thing as ancestral and cultural trauma that is really embedded in our cells, so to speak.
Okay.
And it's you don't have to relive the trauma to clear it. And if your higher self or your subconscious wants you to know details,
Mm-hmm.
then those details can be revealed to you. But again, you don't have to have that conscious understanding of the story, so to speak, to clear and heal from it. But I do recommend working with a practitioner, because so like my process that I take people through is that it's very interesting, because you're in a meditative state, but then I also bring you
Yeah.
out to journal
Ooh.
and to talk about it. And so we take you in a meditative state, we take you back into your past life, and then I encourage you to either verbalize or write down what's coming up, or to tell me where you feel it in your body. And even though in this life you might be experiencing it in your gut, in your third chakra area, in your past life it might be something that happens in a different part of your body. And
Mm-hmm.
so then we clear it from multiple places, and because it's like an onion, especially with this ancestral and past life thing. So
Yeah.
you clear it once and it might open up something new, and that's okay, because that's just giving us another
Yeah.
opportunity to clear more and open up more. And it's amazing how I've seen people lose weight by clearing this past life and ancestral trauma, how they've
Wow.
healed physical elements for sure, but the weight that we carry on our body is not just fat cells.
Uh-huh.
I am a true believer
Interesting.
that this is also energetic, and it could be from this life or a
From
past life,
uh-huh.
but yes.
Ooh.
So, and it takes an element of courage and bravery to be willing and open to sort of digging into some of these things that probably aren't going to be, happy experiences that you experience, but again,
No.
you do not have to be re-traumatized to heal trauma. And and let me just say too, for those of you out there that are looking or investigating or open to trauma therapy,
Mm-hmm.
I myself have been through EMDR, and that I
Heard of
can
that.
really speak from a firsthand experience that that
Uh-huh.
was very powerful, and again, not re-traumatizing. And so there are EMDR therapists that are just therapists, but there's also EMDR practitioners that are therapists and also energy healers, energy practitioners. And so they
Wow.
can incorporate both tools together.
Got it. And I know you also mentioned about the self-love. We talked a little about that, but you say care so much about feeling good that you're actually willing to say yes to the right foods, no to the wrong foods in a sense, and doing the right things
Yes.
in a sense to support your health.
Yes.
And we still
And
have a few minutes left in the show. I just want to make sure we're covering everything for you, sweetheart.
yeah, so no, I think it's just super, let's say it again, like, so this is a great example of being, we're bringing the
Mm-hmm.
holidays to an end, but still the new year, lots of celebration, lots of parties, lots of, we'll give ourselves excuses to say like, oh, I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
maybe I'll have a beer when I shouldn't, if you're
Yep.
gluten intolerant or whatever it is. Love yourself enough to know that that'll make you feel like crap.
So true, right?
And just say,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a choice to choose something different. So
Wow.
maybe if it's alcohol, maybe choose a different cocktail, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's choosing not to drink at all. Maybe it's choosing to bring, soda water to a party and your own champagne flute so you can have something and you can be
And
in the party
be in
and
the
feel,
mix.
yeah, be in the mix and not feel left out, but know
I
that
love
you're
it. Be
doing
in the mix.
something, yeah, for you that makes you feel good. And again, when we make these choices, we're empowering ourselves, and that raises our energy level. And the more we make choices that feel good to us and we empower ourselves, again,
Then
yes, it's a beautiful domino effect
exactly. That's it. The
instead of
domino
the
effect. Yep.
spiral
Uh-huh.
of doom, so to speak. So
That is so cool. Wow. All right, great. And what else did you want to share before we go? Let's point out the website one more time.
yes, drlaramay.com.
Hmm.
And that's where you can find my intuitive services, my functional medicine services. I put together custom packages for my clients. So if you want one or the other, that's great. If you want all of it together, that's what I really love to do, because to me, that is such a rich experience. And I see such a powerful and unfolding and change and ahas with my clients. And I love it so much. So don't be afraid like to contact me and just ask questions.
Well, let me ask you in regards to your intuitive services, how does that work? I mean, like someone can call in, someone comes, talks to you, and how do you tell me what the intuitive services consist of? What are some of the things that you could feel or sense about someone?
So all I ask
Is it
is
just
that,
medically or is it
no, it can be anything.
wow?
So I just ask that my clients show up with an intention of what they want to address or ask questions about or
Okay.
heal or, learn deeper
Yeah.
insight on. And so I use a combination of channeling. So I tune in and I can channel, ancestors from the other side or guides, angels, different ascended masters for the client. I also use oracle cards in my sessions to receive different guidance. And then there is also the aspect of Reiki. And so I
Aw.
tune in. So it's very when I say multidimensional, it's also multimodal. And then we go through and we actually, again, it's a dialogue. So it's not
Yeah.
just me talking at you. I kind of get you in the mix,
Got
because
it.
my whole mission in life is to empower my clients to really understand that they have control over their bodies and their energetic field. And so I teach you tools, and I encourage you to use some of these tools within the session too. So I'm there as a guide and a teacher at the same time.
Oh, well, thank you for being here and sharing our space. And for the new year coming up so shortly, got one more day. Oh my gosh. Is
Yeah.
there anything intuitively that you feel that you sense in regards to our new year look? To be honest, I thought this would be a better year than 2020. But now with this pandemic here, is there anything that you're feeling, sensing, any advice you want to give to your potential clients and our listeners today about?
Yes. So my best friend last night asked me what my word of the year was. And at the time I wasn't sure,
Oh,
but I think it's
last year
going to
was
be.
quarantine, right? I've never heard of that damn word, quarantine. What?
So it's funny, in 2020, in January 2020, I picked the word flow, and I had no idea that we would go through so many shutdowns. So
Yeah.
it was very interesting that how do you find flow with so many shutdowns? And so last year, 2021, or this year, I should say, was awareness. So
Yeah.
where can we bring more awareness? So this year, I think it's going to be choice, because that word has come up so much today here. And then you ask the question, and I want to encourage people to tune in. And if someone is asking you to make a choice, whether it's to get vaccinated or to have a certain treatment or to live a certain way, or, all of these things, tune in to yourself and just ask, is that the right choice for me?
Got it.
And just, so this is a practice too. So getting used to that feeling of a yes from your guides or a no.
Yeah.
And I think we all know what that feels like,
Yeah.
a yes or a no, but it's a practice. So that's something you can do. Start with tomorrow or the January 1st. Every day, tune in, guides and angels, show me what a yes feels like. And
Yeah.
then just feel
Tune
into it.
in.
And then show me what a no feels like.
Mm.
And then do that every day for a week, and you'll really start to get in a good feeling of, okay, now I know what a yes or a no feels like. And so
Got it.
then when you go to make these new choices, you can ask, is this the best decision? Is this the best choice for me? If it's a no, okay, what is better?
Yeah.
You
And,
know,
and as an intuitive, can you tap into your someone else's past deceased loved ones? and spirit guides. Are you like a medium as well?
Yes.
Do I call it that? Again, I
Yes.
get confused. Wow. Cool.
Yes. And
Cool.
yes. So yeah. I would say yeah.
Awesome. Do you ever get to shut it off?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay,
For me,
good.
it's a choice. Yeah.
All right, good,
So,
sweetheart. Well,
yeah,
it's a pleasure
yeah.
getting to see you, to speak with you today. Thank you for occupying our space and for enlightening our listeners. Dr. Lara, one more time, tell us the website.
drlaramay.com.
And are you on social media as well?
Yes, same. DRLARAMAY, Dr. Lara May. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish everyone a happy new year.
Same here, sweetheart. Thank you for being here with us. Have a great day, and we'll talk next year. How corny, but we
Yes.
will. All
Yeah.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy New Year.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.